A founding father of the United States once said, I have not given you democracy, or we have not given you democracy. We've given you a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. What in the world did he mean by that? Well, what he meant is that we've given you the opportunity for freedom. We've fought for you to be free from the tyranny of the mother country. But getting freedom and keeping freedom are entirely different things. Well, the process is similar. The process to get freedom and to keep freedom, they're very, very similar because they both require a bloody battle, a horrendous battle, a battle that seems while you're in the midst of it that it will never end. To get freedom and to keep freedom requires the same level of intensity. It requires the same level of commitment. It requires the same passion to be free. But see, the enemy knows that. And the enemy knows, whether you're talking about political foes or spiritual foes or frenemies, or even just business competitors, the enemy knows that when you stop struggling to have freedom, victory, success, he can take it away. In fact, the enemy, especially in the area of your spirit and your soul, will wait until you feel like you're confident, content. And then he'll snatch it right out from under you, and that thing that you've been leaning on all this time is gone, and away you fall. The enemy is not lazy, as James Robinson said. Our enemy is not lazy at all. He's cunning. He's crafty. And more than most humans are willing to admit, he's patient. See, if you watch some of the old fights with Muhammad Ali, study his movement, there are a couple of things that you'll notice. Number one, he does float like a butterfly. And by that I mean his moves are not real staccato. They're very fluid everywhere he goes. And for the most part, he spends the better early parts of the fight doing what a wise man would do, and that is staying out of the way of the other guy's punches. Until he reaches a threshold where his opponent has pretty much punched himself out. He's thrown everything he can think of. He has fought against the wind the entire fight. And Muhammad Ali has spent most of his time simply not being where the punch would have landed. Now, when he's reached a point where the other fighter is exhausted, fatigued, his muscles are sore, he's thrown every punch he can think of from every direction he can think of, and he hasn't connected more than 20% of them. He's frustrated. He's defeated in his own heart and his own mind. He's beginning to lose his will to fight. And that's when Muhammad Ali begins to swing and sting. See, our enemy is very much the same. When you've struggled and fought and struggled and fought, and you've worn yourself out, and you think, I just can't do this anymore. When you're just about ready to check out, that's when he comes in with that final blow. It looked like the fight was over. Now, you know, if you watch this program at all, that I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and some of the videos that I watch on a pretty regular basis are fight videos, street fight videos, MMA videos, school fight videos. And here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that nature of the fight when it turns, when it twists just a little bit. The 5 battle strategies of a victorious warrior, the newest book that I've released, is based on how do we go to war. What are the tactics to win the war within? And studying how other people win or lose a fight is pretty significant in that. Well, the enemy's been doing that for much longer than I have. The enemy's been studying, I mean, how old is the art of war? And that's just a man's publication. The enemy of your soul, the enemy of your spirit, has been studying warfare since he was created. He knows every trick in the book. And some of them that he'll make up on the spot just for you, just for your circumstances. Just when you think you've got freedom and you can put your hands down and take the gloves off and walk away, he's going to hit you in the back of the head. See, the enemy kind of falls into that role that the Joker did in, I believe it was The Dark Knight, when Batman had him in the interrogation room and they locked all the other officers out. And Batman threatened to beat him, threatened to kill him, and he said, you can't threaten me. I'm not afraid to die. I've been dead for years. But you can also never defeat me. And he said, why is that? He said, because you always have to play by the rules, and I don't have any. That's our enemy. There are certain rules that we feel like we need to fall within, and there are guidelines that Scripture gives us, that law gives us, that the world gives us, that just normal human being behavior, social behavior would expect of us. But our enemy doesn't apply any of those rules to his decisions. He doesn't comply with any of those rules and his tactics to fight. The idea that you don't, quote, kick a man when he's down. I mean, even in MMA, one of the most brutal sports in the world, if the guy's hand is on the mat, you're not allowed to kick him. If the guy's hand is on the mat, you certainly can't kick him in the face. Now, if he's standing up, you can attempt to kick him in the face because very few of those actually land. But the rules say if his hand is on the mat, you can't kick him in the face. Why? Well, because that's a very vulnerable position, and it's a very dangerous position. You could break someone's neck and cause a fatal accident, or permanently paralyze them, or create a significant concussion that would not only end the fight for that day, but end their career. And so there's a rule in place to protect human beings from more than catastrophic injury. Satan doesn't care about those rules. The enemy of your spirit, the enemy of your soul, he doesn't care about those rules. He'll kick you in the back of the head while you're down. He'll stomp your head into the concrete. That's one of the things that I see that disturbs me the most. When teenagers get into fights in school, and one of them, whether he knocks the other guy out or he gets a lunky punch and he knocks him to the ground, when he pounces on him, I've seen him throw 30, 40, 50 blows at a guy's head at full strength when the guy is absolutely defenseless, and nobody pulls him off. Nobody stops it. Nobody says anything about it. And they've apparently lost their conscience for when is the fight over. That's a scary place to be, because now humans are taking on the role of our enemy where there is no rules, there are no boundaries, there's no place to stop. And that's not a patient tactic waiting to pounce on you. That's just dirty fighting. That's just cold-blooded. That's just a lack of value for humanity. But see, when your enemy, whether human, frenemy, business competition, political realm, nation on nation, or spiritual, world against spiritual world, when your enemy doesn't play by the rules, when they've lost all conscience for your eternal well-being, your freedom is in jeopardy. And if you are not willing to fight to prevent yourself from becoming in that vulnerable state, your freedom is in jeopardy. I feel like both on a spiritual and soul level and on a political, socioeconomic level, many of us have found ourselves in a place where an opponent of Muhammad Ali might have been, and that is we've either been lulled into the expectation that this isn't really going to be a fight. Look at him, he's just dancing around, he hasn't even thrown a punch yet. And so we get to a sense of complacency, or we're all punched out. We fought for so long and struggled so hard and haven't seen the victories that we anticipated. We haven't reached the goals that we have established for ourselves. We haven't seen the overcoming actually overcome. And that's frustrating. It's heartbreaking. It takes the fight right out of you. One of the guys I used to work with was from South Korea, and he was one of those guys that was conscripted into the military as a teenager and fought several wars in South Korea against lots of different people and learned some battlefield tactics that are downright ruthless. Now, he's a believer and he's a businessman and he's a nice guy for the most part. But I asked him one day, you know, how would you, with all the martial arts and the training that you've had, etc., how would you defend yourself in the first 4 or 5 seconds of a street fight if somebody were to attack you? He said, I'd break all their fingers. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, most people are going to start with a shove to your chest. Or they're going to put their fingers in your face. And he said, when they do, I'm going to grab the 2 middle fingers on their hand and I'm going to snap them backwards until they break 2 or 3 bones. At that point, most people are in so much pain, the fight is over. Or at minimum, they don't have their primary hand to swing with. Okay, that's ruthless. There are no fighting rules in any sanctioned fighting. Even a gentleman's agreement, if you will, of a street fight, where someone would say, I'm just going to break their fingers before we even start. That's like gouging somebody's eyes out. It's just way over the top. But it's effective. And if we're not willing to fight for our freedom in a way that we take the enemy out at the knees before he even has a chance to swing, then we won't have our freedom. If we get lulled to sleep to believe that the enemy, because he's patient, is done, we won't have our freedom. If we allow people to run the end around through politics, through taxation, through manipulation of public policy or school policies or educational policies or healthcare policies, if we allow people to do an end around through our freedom and find themselves on the other side fighting back at us where we thought we were free to go, we won't have our freedom. Not spiritually, not emotionally, not mentally, not relationally, not politically, not socioeconomically. And if there's anything that you want in this life, it's freedom. And freedom on all of those levels is worth fighting for. The freedom to run your business the way you see fit to run your business. The freedom to worship as you see fit to worship. The freedom to choose the health care that you want for you and your children. The freedom to decide what schools you will go to or not. How you'll be educated or not. What you'll learn. Or choose not worth learning. Freedom. Everyone in America has the right to life, to liberty, and to the pursuit of happiness. That's not a guarantee. It's the right to pursue it. And sometimes pursuing it is a battle. Sometimes pursuing it is like hitting the back of that offensive line that hasn't moved and trying to push through the offensive line and the defensive line to get to the goal. Pursuing liberty, pursuing happiness, pursuing life, it's a goal line stand every day. And if you're not willing to fight that battle, it's only because you haven't tasted enough freedom to know what it's like to have it. My challenge for you today is to simply ask the question, am I now or have I ever been free to the extent that I want to be? If the answer is no, it's time to get a coach. It really is. It's time to sit down with someone who can help you ask the questions that you need to ask to find out what's holding you back so that you can exercise the freedom that your life deserves. Now, I posted in an earlier post, I am doing a teaching today for the Fort Worth Development Group in West Fort Worth. It's at the Hewlin exit off of I-30 at a little restaurant called Buttons. You're welcome to come by, have some brunch with us, hang out with us, chat for a while. All business owners and entrepreneurs, it's a great opportunity to network. 95% of these people are spirit-led. They do their business according to God's word. And so I encourage you to come if that's your ilk. If those are the kinds of people that you like to do business with, come and meet them at Buttons. We'll start at 9:45. About 10:10, I'll begin speaking. And I will be doing about a 20 to 30 minute teaching on the attitude of excellence, how it applies to your business and your life. And if you would like to see that live, let's say you're in McKinney or Frisco and you just can't get to Fort Worth by 9:45. if I get 25 likes, either on this post or the one where I said it, if I get 25 likes or comments to say, I would love to see that teaching, but I'm not going to be able to make it, then I will live stream it. If less than 25 people care, then I won't bother. I think that's fair. I mean, there's only 5 billion people on Facebook. A couple thousand people that normally watch these videos overseas. I know it's an odd time for them. But if at somewhere around 10 o'clock, it's a good time for you to watch a 20-minute teaching on the attitude of excellence that I truly think will impact your life, then hit the like button on this post or the last one and let me know that. And if not, then you can buy the book later when it comes out in January. It'll be called The Attitude Hack. It'll be available probably by about January the 15th. And there will be a rich version of that as well, where the book in its digital format has the videos and the audios embedded in it, so that you have the full experience on the go with you on your mobile device. More on that later. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.